I'm Miguel Sanchez, and welcome to the series premiere of Movie History, Walt Disney Animation Studios. Hooray! Oh my gosh, man, we're finally here today because we're so glad you chose to stay with us and be a part of this historic tradition. That's right, we are starting a brand new series here on the show, here on the channel. Well, earlier today we premiered the Moshi Matchup League. Today we are premiering another series. It's Movie History, Walt Disney Animation Studios. So thank you for coming and welcome to the show. And now, if you are ready for this, so am I, because we are just about ready to get the show started. This will be our filler series for the World of Blocks, as World of Blocks is no longer in session until later in the year. So please stay tuned. But right now, let's get started. And if you're ready, good, let's get started. Thank you all for coming, and welcome to the series premiere of Movie History, Walt Disney Animation Studios. First episode of the series, we're going to be taking a look at the one that started it all, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This is episode number 1, and we're glad you're here today because we are so proud that you chose to stay with us here. Are you sure about that? Yeah, and that's it too. So if you're ready for this, great, then let's get started. Here we go. So, let's see what the movie is about. Let's see what the movie is about. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a 1937 American animated musical fantasy film produced by Walt Disney Productions and originally released by RKO Radio Pictures, based on the 1812 German fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. It is the first full-length cell animated feature film and the first Disney animated feature film. The story was adapted by storyboard artists Dorothy M. Blank, Richard Creedon, Meryl Damaris, Otto Englander, Earl Hurd, Dick Rickard, Ted Sears, and Will Smith. David Hand was the supervising director, while William Cottrell, Wilfred Jackson, Larry Morey, Perce Pierce, Ben Sharpstein directed the film's individual sequences. Snow White premiered at the Carthay Circle Theater in Los Angeles, California on December 21st, 1937, followed a nationwide release on February 4th, 1938. It was a critical and commercial success with international earnings of more than $8 billion during its initial release. Compared success and with international earnings of more than $8 billion during its release, compared to its $1.5 billion budget. It briefly held the record of the highest-grossing sound film at the time. The popularity of the film has led to its being re-released theatrically many times until its home video release in the 1990s. Adjusted for inflation, it is one of the top 10 performers at the North American box office and the highest-grossing animated film. Worldwide, its inflation-adjusted earnings top the animation list. Snow White was nominated for Best Musical Score at the Academy Awards in 1938, and the next year, producer Walt Disney was awarded an honorary Oscar for the film. This award was unique, consisting of 1 normal size plus 7 miniature Oscar statuettes. They were presented to Disney by Shirley Temple. In 1989, the United States Library of Congress deemed the film culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant and selected it as one of the first 25 films to be for preservation in the National Film Registry. The American Film Institute ranked it among the 100 greatest American films, and also named the film as the greatest American animated film of all time. In 2008, Disney's take on the fairy tale has had a significant cultural impact, resulting in popular theme park attractions, a video game, and a Broadway musical. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say about here. Looking at the movie stats here, it was directed by, directed by David Hand, who is supervising William Cottrell, Wilfred Jackson, Larry Morey, Perce Pierce, and Ben Sharpstein. Produced by Walt Disney, written by Ted Sears, Richard Creedon, Otto Englander, Dick Rickard, Earl Hurd, Meryl Damaris, Dorothy Ann Black, and Will Smith. It is based on Snow White by the Brothers Grimm. It starring Adriana Castellotti, Lucille Laverne, Harold Stockwell, Roy Atwell, Pinto Colvig, Aldous Harlan, Scotty Batraw, Billy Gilbert, Eddie Collins, Moroni, Olsen, and Stuart Buchanan. Music is by Frank Churchill and Paul Smith and Leah Harline. Production companies Walt Disney Productions, distributed by RKO Radio Pictures. And as I said, release date is December 21st, 1937 at the Carthay Circle Theater in Los Angeles, and on February 4th, 1938 in the United States. Running time is 83 minutes. Country, United States. Language is English. Budget is $1.49 million. Box office is, at the box office, they made $418 million. Yeah, that's a lot of money here. Anyway, let's get to the plot. Let's get to the plot of the story. Snow White is a lonely princess living with her stepmother, a vain queen. The queen worries that Snow White will be more beautiful than her, so she forces Snow White to work as a scullery maid and asks her magic mirror daily, who is the fairest one of all. For years, the magic mirror always answers that the queen is pleasing her. One day, the magic mirror informs the queen that Snow White is now the fairest in the land. On that same day, when Snow White meets and falls in love with a prince who overhears her singing, the jealous queen orders her huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. She further demands that the huntsman return with Snow White's heart in a jeweled box as proof of the deed. However, the huntsman cannot bring himself to kill Snow White. He cheerfully begs her for her forgiveness, revealing the queen wants her dead and urges to her to flee into the woods and never look back. Lost and frightened, the princess is befriended by woodland creatures who lead her to a cottage deep in the woods. Finding 7 small chairs in the cottage's dining room, Snow White assumes that the cottage is the untidy home of 7 orphaned children. Actually, the cottage belongs to 7 adult dwarfs named Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey, who work in a nearby mine. Returning home, they are alarmed to find their cottage clean and suspect that an intruder has invaded their home. The dwarfs find Snow White upstairs, asleep across 3 of their beds. Snow White awakens to find the dwarfs at her bedside and introduces herself, and all of the dwarfs eventually welcome her into their home after she offers to clean and cook for them. Snow White keeps house for the dwarfs while they mine jewels during the day. And at night, they all sing, play music, and dance. Meanwhile, the queen discovers Snow White is alive when the mirror again answers that Snow White is the fairest in the land and reveals that the heart in the box is that of a pig. Using a potion to disguise herself as an old hag, the queen creates a poisoned apple that would put whoever eats it into the sleepy death. The curse she learns can only be broken by love's first kiss, but is certain Snow White will be buried alive. While the queen goes to the cottage, while the dwarfs are away, the animals are wary of her and rush off to find the dwarfs. Faking a potential heart attack, the queen tricks Snow White into bringing her into the cottage to rest. The queen fools Snow White into biting the poisoned apple under the pretense that it is a magic apple that grants wishes. As Snow White falls asleep, the queen proclaims that she is now the fairest of the land. The dwarfs return with the edibles as the queen leaves the cottage and gives chase. Trapping her on a cliff. She tries to roll a boulder over them, but lightning strikes the cliff before she can do so, causing her to fall to her death. The dwarfs return to their cottage and find Snow White seemingly dead, being kept in a death-like slumber by the poison. Unwilling to bury her out of sight in the ground, they instead place her in a glass coffin trimmed with gold in a clearing in the forest. Together with the woodland creatures, they keep watch over her. A year later, the prince learns of her eternal sleep and visits her coffin. Saddened by her apparent death, he kisses her, but the witch breaks the spell and awakens her. The dwarfs and animals all rejoice as the prince takes Snow White to his castle. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, but here, as we take a look at the cast, Adrienne Castellotti as Snow White, Lucille Levert as the Queen, Harry Stockwell as the Prince, Roy Atwell as Doc, Pinto Colvig as Grumpy and Sleepy in a dual role, Otis Harlan as Happy, Scotty Batrall as Bashful, Billy Gerber as Sneezy, Eddie Collins for vocal effects and live action reference, and Jimmy McDonald for vocal effects as Dopey, Baroni Olsen as the Magic Mirror, and Stuart Buchanan as the Huntsman. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. Let's take a look at the production. Development on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs began in early 1934, and in June 1934, Walt Disney announced the production of his first feature to be released under Walt Disney Productions to the New York Times. One evening that same year, Disney acted out the entire story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to his staff, announcing that the film would be produced as a feature-length film. Before Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Disney studio had primarily involved in the production of animated short subjects in the Mickey Mouse and Silly Symphony series. Disney hoped to expand his studio's prestige and revenues by moving into features, and estimated that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs could be produced for a budget of $250,000 US. This was 10 times the budget of an average Silly Symphony. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was to be the first full-length cel animated feature feature in motion picture history, and as such, Walt Disney had to fight to get the film produced. Both his brother and business partner Roy Disney and his wife Lillian attempted to talk him out of it. And the Hollywood movie industry referred to him derisively as Disney's folly while it was in production. He had to mortgage his house to help finance the film's production, which eventually ran up a total cost of $1,488,422.74, a massive sum for a feature film in 1937. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at story development. Right, let's take a look at story development. On August 9th, 1934, 21 pages of notes entitled Snow White Suggestions were compiled by staff writer Richard Creedon, suggesting the principal characters, as well as situations and gags for the story. As Disney had stated at the very beginning of the project, the main attraction of the story for him was the Seven Dwarfs, and the possibilities for screwiness and gags. The 3 story meetings held in October and attended by Disney. The Creedon, Larry Morey, Albert Herder, Ted Sears, and Pinto Kolovich were dominated by such subjects. At this point, Disney felt that the story should begin with Snow White's discovery of the dwarfs' names of the cottage of the Seven Dwarfs. Walt Disney had suggested from the beginning that each of the dwarfs, whose names and personalities are not stated in the original fairy tale, could have individual personalities. The dwarfs' names were chosen from a pool of about 50 potentials, including Jumpy, Deafy, Dizzy, Hickey, Wheezy, Baldy, Gabby, Nifty, Sniffy, Swift, Lazy, Puffy, Stuffy, Tubby, Short, and Burpy. The 7 finalists were chosen through a process of elimination. The leader of the dwarves, required to be pompous, self-important, and bubbling, was named Doc, while others were named for their distinguishing character traits. At the end of the October story meetings, however, only Doc, Grumpy, Bashful, Sleepy, and Happy of the final 7 were named. At this point, Sneezy and Dopey were replaced by Jumpy, an unnamed 7 dwarf. I know. Along with a focus of the characterizations and comedic possibilities of the dwarfs, Creedon's 18-page outline of the story written from the October meetings featured a continuous flow of gags, as well as the Queen's attempt to kill Snow White with a poisoned comb, an element taken from the Grimm's original story. After persuading Snow White to use the comb, the distinguished Queen would have escaped alive, but the dwarfs would have arrived in time to remove it. After the failure of the comb, the Queen was to have the prince captured and taken her to the dungeon, where she would have come to him. Story sketches show this event both with the Queen and the witch, and used magic to bring the dungeon's skeletons to life, making them dance for him and identifying one skeleton as Prince Oswald, an example of the more humorous death. An example of the more humorous atmosphere of this original story treatment. It is written in story notes that the Queen has such magical power only in her own domain, the castle. With the prince refusing to marry her, the Queen leads him to his death. One sketch shows the prince trapped in a subterranean chamber filling with water, as she makes her way to the dwarf's cottage with the poisoned apple. The forest animals were to help the prince escape the Queen's minions and find his horse. The prince was to ride the cottage to save Snow White, but took the wrong road, despite warnings from the forest animals and his horse, whom he, unlike Snow White, could not understand. He therefore would not have arrived in time to save her from the Queen, but would have been able to save her with Love's first kiss. This plot was not used in the final film. The many sketches of the scene in the dungeon were made by Ferdinand Hobart. Other examples of the more comical nature of the story at this point include suggestions for a fat, batty cartoon-type, self-satisfied queen. The prince was also more of a clown, and was to serenade Snow White in a more comical fashion. Walt Disney encouraged all staff at the studio to contribute to the story, offering $5 for every gag. Such gags included the dwarf's noses popping over the foot of the bed when they first meet Snow White. Disney became concerned that such a comical approach would lessen the plausibility of the characters, and sensing that more time was needed for the development of the Queen. Advised in an outline circulated on November 6th that attention would be paid exclusively to scenes in which only Snow White, the dwarfs, and their bird and animal friends appear. The names and personalities of the dwarfs, however, were still open to change. A meeting on November 16th resulted in another outline entitled Dwarfs Discover Snow White, which introduced the character of Dopey, who would ultimately prove to be the most successful and popular of the dwarf characterizations. For the rest of 1934, Disney further developed the story by himself, finding a dilemma in the characterization of the Queen, who he felt could no longer be fat and batty, but a stately beautiful type. A possibility already brought up in previous story meetings. Disney did not focus on this project again until the autumn of 1935. It is thought that he may have doubted his and his studio's the studio's ability, and that his trip to Europe that summer restored his confidence. At this point, Disney and his writers focused on the scenes in which Snow White and the dwarfs are introduced to the audience and each other. He lay out the likely assignments for everyone working on the film in a memorandum of November 23rd, 1935, and had decided on the personalities of the individual dwarfs. It had first been brought that the dwarfs would be the main focus of the story, and many sequences were written for the 7 characters. However, at a certain point, it was decided that the main thrust of the story was provided by the relationship between the Queen and Snow White. For this reason, several sequences featuring the dwarfs were cut from the film. The first, which was animated entirely before being cut, showed Doc and Grumpy arguing about whether Snow White should stay with them. Another, also completely animated, would have shown the dwarfs eating soup noisily and messily. Snow White unsuccessfully attempts to teach them how to eat like gentlemen. A partially animated sequence involved the dwarfs holding a lodge meeting in which they tried to think of a gift for Snow White. This was to be followed by the elaborate bed building sequence, in which the dwarfs and the forest animals construct and carve a bed for the princess. This also was cut, as it was thought to slow down the movement of the story. The soup eating and bed building sequences were animated by Ward Kimball, who was sufficiently discouraged by the removal to consider leaving the studio. However, Disney persuaded him to stay by promoting him to supervise the animator of Jiminy Cricket in his next feature, Pinocchio, from 1940. And I'll talk about it in the next episode of the series, so please stay tuned. Let's go to the animation. Alright, let's go to the animation. The primary authority of the design of the film was concept artist Albert Herder. All designs used in this film, from characters' appearances to the look of the rocks in the background, had to meet Herder's approval before being finalized. The other concept artists, Ferdinand Hovart and Gustav Tengren, also contributed to the visual style of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Hovart developed a number of dark concepts for the film, although many other designs he developed were ultimately rejected by the Disney team as less easily translated into animation than Herder's. Tengren was used as a color stylist to determine the staging and atmosphere of many of the scenes in the film, as his style borrowed from the likes of Arthur Rachman and John Bauer, and thus possessed the European illustration quality that Walt Disney sought. He also designed the posters for the film and illustrated the press book. However, Hobart didn't receive a credit for the film. Other artists to work on the film included Joe Grant, whose most significant contribution was the design for the Queen's wish form. Oh my gosh, can we see that? Art Babbitt, an animator who joined the Disney studio in 1932, invited 7 of his colleagues who worked in the same room as him to come with him to an art class that he himself had set up at his home in the Hollywood Hills. Though there was no teacher, Babbitt had recruited a model to pose for him and his fellow animators as they draw. These classes were held weekly. Each week, more animators would come. After 3 weeks, Walt Disney called Babbitt to his office and offered to provide the supplies, working space, and models required for if the sessions were moved to the studio. Babbitt ran the sessions for a month until animator Hardy Gramatke suggested that they recruit Don Graham, the art teacher from for the Korean Art Institute, taught his first class. The art teacher from the Korean Art Institute taught his first class at the studio on November 15, 1932, and was joined by Phil Dyke a few weeks later. These classes were principally concerned with the human anatomy movement, though instruction later included action analysis, animal anatomy, and acting. Though the classes were originally described as a brutal battle, with neither instructor nor students very well versed in the other's craft. The enthusiasm and energy of both parties made the classes stimulating and beneficial for all involved. Graham often screened Disney shorts along with the animators, providing critique featuring both strengths and weaknesses. For example, Graham criticized the Babbitt's animation of Abner the Mouse in The Country Cousin as taking a few of the obvious actions of a drunk without coordinating the rest of the body, while praising it for maintaining its humor without getting dirty or mean or vulgar. The Country Mouse is always having a good time. Very few of the animators at the Disney studio had artistic training. Most had been newspaper cartoonists. Among these few were Graham Natwick, who had trained in Europe. The animator's success in designing and animating Betty Boop for Fleischer Studios and showed an understaging of human female anatomy. And when Walt Disney hired Natwick, he was given female characters to animate almost exclusively. Attempts to animate Persephone, the female lead of the Goddess of the Spring, have proven largely unsuccessful. Natwick's animation of the heroine in Cookie Carnival showed greater promise, and the animator was eventually given the task of animating Snow White herself. Though live action footage of Snow White, the Prince and the Queen was shot as reference for the animators. The animators disapproved of rotoscoping, considering it to hinder the production of effective caricature. None of Babbitt's animation of the Queen was rotoscoped, despite Graham and Natwick's objections. However, some scenes of Snow White and the Prince were directly traced from the live-action footage. No. It's Snow White and... Alright. So now you know. It proved difficult to add color to Snow White's and the Queen's face. Eventually, they found a red dye that worked, and which was added with a small piece of cotton wrapped around a temple pencil on each individual cell. Helen Auger, an employee at the ink department, who was also an animator and decided to use the same system in animation. The method was so time-consuming that it never used again on the same scale. It was also used to a smaller degree in Pinocchio and Fantasia, but after Auger left the studio in 1941, there was nobody with the same skills who could replace her. I'll talk about Pinocchio in the next episode, and the episode after that will be Fantasia, so please stay tuned. The studio's new multiplane camera gave a three-dimensional feeling in many sequences, and was also used to give a rotating effect in the scene where the Queen transforms into a witch. No. So, yeah. Now you know. Let's go to the music. The songs in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs were composed by Frank Churchill and Larry Morey. Paul J. Smith and Lee Harley composed the incidental music score. Well-known songs from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs include Hi Ho, Someday My Prince Will Come, and Whistle Away at Work. Since Disney did not have its own music publishing company at that time, the publishing rights for the music and songs were administered through Born Company Music Publishers, which continued to hold these rights. In later years, the studio was able to acquire back the rights to the music from many of the other films, but not Snow White. Snow White became the first American film to have a soundtrack album released in conjunction with the feature film. Before Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, a film soundtrack recording was unheard of and of little value to a movie studio. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Going into the cinematic influences, at this time, Disney also encouraged his staff to see a variety of films. These ranged from the mainstream, such as MGM's Romeo and Juliet from 1936, to which Disney made direct reference in a story meeting pertaining to the scene in which Snow White lies in her glass coffin, to the more obscure, including European silent cinema. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, as well as the two Disney films to follow it, were also influenced by such German expressionist films as Nosferatu for 1922 and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari for 1919, both of which were recognized by Disney to his staff. This influence is particularly evident in the scenes of Snow White while fleeing through the forest and the Queen's transformation into the witch. The latter scene was also inspired by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for 1931, to which Disney made specific reference in story meetings. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Let's go to the release for the original theatrical run. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs premiered at the Carthay Circle Theater on December 21st, 1937, to a widely receptive audience, many of whom were the same the naysayers who had dubbed the film Disney's Folly. The film received a standing ovation at its completion from an audience that included Judy Garland, Marlene Dietrich, and Charles Laughton. 6 days later, Walt Disney and the Seven Dwarfs appeared on the cover of Time magazine. The New York Times said, "Thank you very much, Mr. Disney." The American entertainment trade publication Variety observed that so perfect is the illustration, so tender the romance and fantasy, so emotional are certain proportions when the acting of the characters strikes a depth comparable to the sincerity of human players, that the film approaches real greatness. Following successful exclusive runs at Radio City Music Hall in New York City and the theater in Miami in January of 1938, RKO Radio Pictures put the film into general release on February 4th. It became a major box office success, earning 4 times more money than any other motion picture release in 1938. Snow White proved equally popular with 4 audiences. In September 1938, 7 months after the film's nationwide release in the United States, Variety also reported that the animated feature was having a remarkably long box office run at theaters in Sydney, Australia. In that city, it noted Walt Disney's Snow White, RKO, experienced no difficulty at hitting 11 weeks, with more ahead. Variety reported as well that Snow White was having even longer runs in other cities overseas, such as London, where the film had generated greater box office receipts than during its exclusive New York screenings at Radio City Music Hall. Snow White, RKO, is in its 27th week at the New Gallery, London, and will continue to be shown through the regular London release dates: September 19th for North London and September 26th for South London. There is a likelihood that the New Gallery first run will run until Christmas. The picture reported to have exceeded $500,000, passing Radio City's 5-week mark, which just fell short of the $500,000 mark. During its original release, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs earned theatrical rentals of $4.2 million in the United States and Canada, and $4.3 million elsewhere, making it the most successful sound film of all time, displacing Al Jolson's The Singing Fool from 1928. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was soon displaced from this position by Gone with the Wind in 1939. According to RKO, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs had earned $7,846,000 in international box office receipts by the end of its original theatrical run. This earned RKO a profit of $380,000. Yay, I love it. That's all I gotta say. Now for the re-releases. Re-releases. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was first released in 1944 to raise revenue for the Disney studio during the World War II period. This re-released is a set tradition of re-releasing Disney animated features every 7 to 10 years. And Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was re-released to theaters with to release to theaters in 1952, 1958, 1967, 1975, 1983, 1987, and 1993. Coinciding with the 50th anniversary release in 1987, Disney released an authorized novelization of the story, written by children's author Suzanne Wein. In 1993, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs became the first film to be entirely scanned to digital files, manipulated, and recorded back to film. The restoration project was carried out entirely at 4K resolution and 10-bit color depth using the Cineon system to digitally remove dirt and scratches. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs has had a lifetime gross of $418 million across its original release and several reissues. Adjusted for inflation and incorporating subsequent releases, the film still registers one of the top 10 American film moneymakers of all time. So, yeah, that's pretty much it as we take a look at the reception. The film was a tremendous critical success, with many reviewers hailing it as a genuine work of art, recommended for both children and adults. Although film histories often state that the animation of the human characters was criticized, more recent scholarship finds that the more reviewers praise the realistic style of the human animation, with several stating that audiences will forget that they are watching animated humans rather than real ones. At the 11th Academy Awards, the film won an Academy Honorary Award for Walt Disney as a significant screen innovation, which has charmed millions and pioneered a great new entertainment field. Disney received a full-time Oscar statuette and 7 miniature ones, presented to him by 10-year-old child actress Shirley Temple. The film was also nominated for Best Musical Score. Someday My Prince Will Come has become a jazz standard that has been performed by numerous artists, including Buddy Rich, Lee Wiley, Oscar Peterson, Frank Churchill, and Oliver Jones. Albums by Miles Davis, by Winston Kelly, and Alexis Cole. Noted filmmakers such as Sergei Eisenstein and Charlie Chaplin praised Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs as a notable achievement in cinema. Eisenstein went so far as to call it the greatest film ever made. The film inspired Metro-Goldwyn Mayer to produce its own fantasy film, The Wizard of Oz, in 1939. Non-animation pioneer Max Fleischer decided to produce his animated feature, Gulliver's Travels, in order to compete with Snow White. The 1943 Barry Melody short, Cold Black and the Seven Dwarfs, directed by Bob Clampett, parodies Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs by presenting the story with an all-black cast, singing a jazz score. Snow White's success led to Disney moving ahead with more feature film productions. Walt Disney used much of the profits from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to finance a new $4.5 million studio in Burbank, the location on which the Walt Disney Studios is located to this day. Within 2 years, the studio completed Pinocchio and Fantasia and had begun on features such as Dumbo, Bambi, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan. I'll talk about all the main feature episodes of the series, so please stay tuned. I'll let you know when it comes out. Let's go to the American Film Institute recognition. The American Film Institute, or AFI, is an independent nonprofit organization created in the United States by the National Endowment for the Arts, released a variety of annual awards and film lists recognizing excellence in filmmaking. The AFI 100 Years series, which ran from 1998 to 2008, created categorized lists of America's best movies, and as selected by juries composed of among over 1,500 artists, scholarships, critics, and historians. A film inclusion in one of these lists was based on the film's popularity over time, historical significance, and cultural impact. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was selected by juries for inclusion on many AFI lists, including AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies, number 29, AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies, 10th Anniversary Edition, number 34, AFI's 10 Top 10, number 1 Animated Film, AFI's 100 Years, 100 Heroes and Villains, The Queen, number 10 villain, AFI's 100 Years, 100 Songs, Someday My Prince Will Come. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go to the legacy. Following the film's release, a number of Snow White themed merchandise were sold, including hats, dolls, garden seeds, and glasses. The film's merchandise generated sales of $8 million, equivalent to over $100 million adjusted for inflation. So yeah, let's get to the comic strip adaptation. The Silly Symphony Sunday comic strip ran for a 4-month-long adaptation of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from December 12th, 1937 to April 24th, 1938. The comic was written by Merrill Demaris and drawn by Hank Porter and Bob Grant. This adaptation was republished several times as a comic book, most recently in 1995. The 1984 film Gremlins used the cartoon in the theater scenes. So, yeah, that's all I say. Let's go to theme parks. Snow White's Enchanted Wish, named Snow White's Scary Adventures until 2020, is a popular theme park ride at Disneyland, an opening day attraction dated from 1955. Tokyo Disneyland and Disneyland Paris. Fantasyland and Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom underwent an expansion from 2012 to 2014. The Snow White's Scary Adventures ride was replaced with Princess Fairy Tale Hall, where Snow White and other princesses are located for a meet and greet. Included in the 2013 expansion of Fantasyland is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train roller coaster. Snow White, her prince, the Queen, and the Seven Dwarfs are also featured in parades and character appearances throughout the parks. Disneyland's Fantasyland Theater hosted Snow White, an enchanting musical from 2004 to 2006. Yeah, you know. Let's go to the video games. Alright, let's go to the video games. The first attempt at a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs video game was for the Atari 2600 as part of their line of children's games. It was never officially released, although a homebrew version was made available on a limited basis. Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was released for the Game Boy Color system in 2001. Snow White also makes an appearance in the PlayStation 2 game Kingdom Hearts as one of the 7 fabled princesses of Heart. A world based on the movie Dwarf Woodlands appears in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep for the PSP. In 2013's free-to-play mobile game Snow White, Queen's Return, also known as Seven Dwarfs, The Queen's Return, an uncanonical continuation of the film. The Queen has survived the fall at the climax of the film, and then reverted to her youthful form to cast a curse on Snow White and the dwarfs and their entire forest. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go to the Broadway musical. Unknown Mary Jones Salerno played Snow White in the Disney-produced Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, also known as Snow White Live, at the Radio City Music Hall. Music and lyrics for 4 new songs were created by Jay Blackton and Joe Cook, respectively. Titles included Welcome to the Kingdom of Once Upon a Time and Will I Ever See Her Again. It ran from October 18th to November 18th, 1979, and January 11th to March 9th, 1980. A total of 106 performances. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Going to the cancel prequel. In the 2000s, Disney Studios began development on a computer-animated prequel to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs titled The Seven Dwarfs. Director Mike Tisa and screenwriter Evan Spiliotopoulos pitched a story explaining how the dwarfs met and how the evil queen killed Snow White's father and took the throne. According to Tisa, Disney Toon management changed the prequel to center around how Toby lost his voice upon witnessing the death of his mother. After Disney purchased Pixar in 2006, John Lasseter, Disney Toon's new chief creative officer, canceled Dwarfs. Oh boy, that's pretty much it. In the live-action film feature film adaptations, in March 2016, the studio announced a new film in development titled Rosebud, a live-action spin-off film which will be told from the perspective of Snow White's sister, Red Rose. The film will be produced by Trip Vincent and written by Justin Mertz, Evan Daughtry, and Kristen Gore. Brie Larson is considered for the title role. In October 2016, a live-action adaptation of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was announced. The script will be written by Eric Christina Wilson, while Ben Pasek and Justin Paul, who also wrote new song material for the live-action adaptation of Aladdin for 2019, will write new songs for the project. In 2019, Mark Webb had also signed on as director. Principal photography was originally scheduled to begin in March 2020 in Vancouver, but filming has since been delayed to the summer or fall of 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, yes, pretty much. And finally, for the other appearances, the Seven Dwarfs made rare appearances in shorts. Despite their popularity, they simply were too numerous to animate efficiently. Commissioned shorts, The Standard Parade from 1931, The Seven Wise Dwarfs from 1941, using mostly recycled footage, all together from 1942, and The Wings Scourge from 1943, all include appearances. The animated television series House of Mouse, which included many Disney character and animated cameos, included the characters in the special Mickey's Magical Christmas snowed in at the House of Mouse. The evil queen appeared in a starring role in the film Once Upon a Halloween as well. In the arena of live television, of live action, the fantasy television series Once Upon a Time, produced by Disney-owned ABC Studios, now called ABC Signature, regularly included live action interpretations of these characters, including Snow White, the Evil Queen, and Grumpy, including Snow White, the Prince, the Evil Queen, and Grumpy, an animated television series featuring a new version of the Seven Dwarfs titled The 7D, premiered on Disney XD on July 7, 2014, and this run on November 5th, 2016. The show takes place 30 years before the events of the original film. Man, to love this movie. But guys, that's it. That's all. That's it for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Yay! Man, let's get to the final thoughts and rating for the movie. How do I really love it? Totally amazing. I can't wait to see more of that. In the end, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is one of the most iconic movies of all time, and therefore it is a great film. No need to say about here. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is abysmal, 2 is terrible, 3 is awful, 4 is bad, 5 is meh, 6 is okay, 7 is good, 8 is great, 9 is amazing, and 10 is perfect. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm rating Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs with a score of 8 out of 10. Great score. Great. I really love it. But in the end, we hope you guys had a lot of fun. And I love Snow White and Seven Dwarfs as much as I do. However, that's all about my personal and considered opinion. You can feel free to agree or disagree with your thoughts and opinions, so please leave it in the comment section down below. But guys, that's it. It's over. Thank you all so much for watching the series premiere of Movie History, Walt Disney Animation Studios. Yay! Oh my gosh. We hope you guys enjoy it. And please stay tuned for a new episode of Moshi Monsters Biography coming up later today. It'll be the final video today. So please leave a like on the video, share with your friends, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe with the notification turned on to not miss another new video from me as we're on the road to 600 subscribers. So yeah, that's it. It's over. Thank you all for watching. I'm your guys, Sanchez. You be yourself, and I will see you next time on Movie History, Walt Disney Animation Studios. Please join me again next time for episode 2 as I react as we take a look at Pinocchio, the second film from Walt Disney Animation Studios. So come on back for that. We hope you will too, and I hope you will too. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Until next time we see you, I'm your guys, Sanchez. Once again, please remember to leave a like, share the video with your friends, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, turn on notifications to this new video. Please, once again, please remember to subscribe with notifications turned on to not miss another new video from me as we're on the road to 600 subscribers. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And stay tuned for Moshi Monsters Biography later on today. Have a great day, guys. God bless and happy gaming. I'm your guys, Sanchez. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in another video. Laters!